Good night, I am Ryan Broom with the April 15th edition of the CBC Evening News. In our top story, the Oistins Fish Festival got off to a quiet start earlier today. As usual, vendors expected things to pick up as the day and weekend progressed, while members of the public, both locals and visitors alike, were happy with how things were shaping up. There wasn't a very large crowd when the CBC team first visited in the very early afternoon, but more people were starting to arrive as evening drew closer, and vendors also said that they expected to see larger numbers into the evening and nighttime. One of them was long-standing food stall owner Suzette Jarobisfam, the owner of Angels.
Well, usually on a Saturday it's like this. Early in the day, it's always a little slow in the morning, afternoon half. But when you see around like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock when the sun go down, things think it will be Sunday and Monday should be the two fantastic days.
And the owner of La Amour's Delights, Laurel Brathwaite Smith, was also optimistic about what this long holiday weekend would hold.
It's a bit very low-key at the moment, but hopefully this evening it'll be busier. We have specials on the shark and bake, fish cake and bake. We have lots of fish cakes. We have crab cakes, lobster cakes.
Craft vendor Roland Callender was excited to be part of the festival again.
For years, sir, as a vendor, I was still bigger anyway, but festival as a Beijing, so you know it's come every year, man.
And members of the public, both locals and visitors, said they were all happy to be a part of the festival.
Normally, as long as I'm in Barbados, Oistins do not miss me. So I was out for about 4 years and a half. I miss Oistins, so therefore, Oistins Fish Festival, here it comes.
Oh, wonderful! Loving it here. We love the calypso music.
Oistins, it's bustling. It's got a lot of activity and a lot of things to offer. You got food and activities here, and you got stuff for the kids. So it's pretty fun. I like it.
The Oistins Festival will continue throughout this weekend and end on Monday night. Meanwhile, plans are on the cards to develop the Oistins area further. That's the word from Prime Minister Barbados Frendel Stewart. He was addressing the opening of the 40th anniversary of the Oistins Fish Festival just moments ago. The long and short-term plans are outlined in the Physical Development Plan and include the introduction of a water taxi service from Oistins to Bridgetown and a revised traffic management plan.
Creation of a transport terminal with multimodal options by relocating the existing bus terminal to the land side of Highway 7. Creation of a new beachfront park on the site of the existing terminal, which has as its focus the heritage and culture of Oistins. Upgrading of sidewalks and pavements, and where necessary, build new pathways to increase pedestrian safety.
Minister Stewart says government is aware of the challenges to the jetty at Oistins and is working to find solutions to them. When completed, he expects it would help to boost the number of fish landings and generate more activity in the area.
For the calendar year 2016, approximately 118,456 kilograms in fish landings were recorded. The annual fish landing is about half the local fish supply, with our consumption of fish estimated at between 24 and 30 kilograms per person per year. An estimated 1,000 private sector fishing vessels are involved in the local fishing industry, with the fleet value of these assets estimated at $96 million.
In other news now, the three newest candidates for the Democratic Labour Party hit the ground running this morning, highlighting what they say is a major problem in their constituencies. The three took Transport and Works Minister Michael Lashley on a brief tour to point out some of the priority areas. And speaking to the media for the first time, they told CBC News about their own priorities, should they secure the vote in their respective constituencies in the next general election. Lisa Broom has more.
Roads were the focus of this morning's outing. Each of the three DLP candidates, Rodney Grant, who is seeking to represent St. Michael Southeast, Henderson Williams, who is running for the city seat, and Nicholas Allen, who is contending the St. Michael East constituency, took turns pointing out to Works Minister Michael Lashley some of the problem areas. And in their first media interviews, they talked about their top priority areas if they're elected. For longtime head of the Pinelands Creative Workshop, Rodney Grant, infrastructure needs attention, but unemployment and education for the young people are his priorities.
We have far too many young people in St. Michael Southeast who have left school without certification. That is something we have to fix. We also have too many young people who don't have skills that could allow them to get a job and do what they have to do. Also, that is something we have to fix. We also have too many young people who are not working and that, maybe have the potential to start their own businesses. And this is something that we also be working stringently to resolve as well.
And the concern was similar for his party mate and City of Bridgetown contender, Henderson Williams. The longtime city resident says as the country's capital, the constituency is unique, but people, especially the youth's needs, remain the same. He also disagrees that the city is dying.
There are a lot of movement towards Warrens. Some people have moved out, but some people are also coming in. We have a tremendous amount of opportunity with the development of Hayat, for example, the UNESCO designation, the widening of the development border in the city. And so there's really just the need for us to get very focused on what it is that we need to do to ensure that the needs of the people that we serve are met.
And the other newcomer, Nicholas Allen, is a former youth footballer and chairman of the St. Michael East Sporting and Cultural Foundation.
Well, three of the main issues that has been identified throughout the constituency, jobs, as previously mentioned, the high unemployment level amongst the youth, that is one of the major issues. Another issue that has been highlighted as well is the access to running water in places such as Lickridge Village and some of the Mylorsville area. And also, I would say housing. Housing is very critical, and I also think it is an urgent matter that should be addressed.
Mr. Allen has opted to wait until a study on plans for residents of Bell is completed to comment on that issue. The trio received a nod to represent their ridings earlier this week from the top brass of the ruling DLP. Lisa Broom, CBC News.
Thanks, Lisa. Well, members of the Pinelands Creative Workshop are at this hour putting on a play as part of the group's annual season of the arts. CBC caught up with some members of the group earlier this week while they were preparing for the play, which starts tonight and will be repeated tomorrow. According to the head of Pinelands Creative Workshop, Rodney Grant, the play, entitled Dan is the Man in the Van, is based on one of the Mighty Sparrow's most famous songs, for which he won a UNESCO award. Mr. Grant says the play takes a look at some of the popular children's nursery rhymes, like Humpty Dumpty, and links them to some of the decisions that people make in life.
Abuse in the home, we look at family dysfunctionality, we look at incest, we look at the politician and his pretense, we look at school and the disruptiveness, some of the disruptive issues in the school system. So these are all, as we say, reflected in some of the foundation of our education, because this is the things that form our socialization. So the production basically candidly looks at some of these issues and try to unravel the picture of how we got here and why we as a society continue to make these bad decisions in our life that continue to affect us in a very negative way.
And Mr. Grant says at the end, some very important questions will be asked and answered.
We have to sometimes sit down and reflect in terms of who am I as individuals and come to our own consciousness in terms of our own perspectives of African people, and maybe think on if we would have founded our education on a different perspective, maybe our decisions that we would have made in life maybe would have far more different than some of the abusive and some of the inconsistent and inconsiderate decisions that we make that break down family, that break down society and all the pillars of our socialization.
And the play starts at 7 on both nights.